Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, instructor for ANY 150. This is Module 3, and we're on Part 6, where we're going to actually add detail, these little details we see here in the concept art. Okay, so we got these two little vents right here, and we need to change the way the direction of these quadrangles are facing, because we need to have the ability to go in here and add these little vents. I think they're just little vents. Anyway, those are details we need to add in there. If we're going to stay true, and this is what I've talked about, staying true to the concept artwork. We have a little artistic leeway, but if somebody gives you, if your art director gives you this reference, you better get it as close as possible. So those are one of the challenges that you have as an artist, is that there may be parts of an object that just will not work in 3D. Very rarely that'll happen. Maybe it's a perspective issue, and that's something you need to talk to the concept artist about, what he was thinking, because there's a lot of perspective issues right here with this gun in the back. So anyway, we got a little artistic leeway in the back of the gun because that just doesn't look right. So it's a perspective issue. So let's go ahead and let's pause the video for just a second. Okay, now we're going to go into the front view, or the side view, excuse me, and we're going to move these vertices around. So basically I'm just going to take this this edge out, which will give us an issue as far as, you know, this piece right here. We've got these vents kind of going a little bit low. So alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and select this. Let's go to Vertex Mode real quick, and let's go ahead and just move this down. I'm going to use the marquee selecting the lasso tool. And so I'm just going to lasso all of these pieces right here, okay? And I'm going to hit the W key and go ahead and move that down to where we see that it's matching this a little bit better. There we go. And so right now I'm going to keep the bottom part here, but I'm just going to kind of just focus on this part right here, okay? Now we want these vertices to line up, so I need it to follow that edge perfectly. So I'm going to double click on this and go back into constraint, and I'm going to edge constraint that across this edge. I want it to follow that edge. You can see how I want that to follow. If I do it with this one too, you can see that we get something that looks like this, which is kind of weird, but we still have to keep our edge loops, right? So I'm going to go ahead and slide that over a little bit more. There we go. So that looks pretty good. Alright, so, you know, what if I go in here and I cut this, and this could be a problem. Let's go ahead and click on that edge. Let's experiment a little bit here. So we're going to do a control and delete. So the control and delete will get rid of this vertex up here. So if you right click over and go to vertex mode, notice that I don't have it there anymore. The reason why I did this will cause a n-gon. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is because it's just not working for me. So what I need to do is I need to add an edge loop. So I'm going to go to selection mode, okay? Click on the object, hit the Q key, and add, and I'm going to multi-cut. Okay, so I'm going to cut across here. So I'm going to click on this and cut across here, because this will give me the direction that I want for this object. Okay, so if I hit the enter tool, you can see that it cuts across there. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hit the Q key because I'm in that mode again. I need to get out of there. Is you can see a cut across here. Okay, well, I don't want this edge anymore. This edge is no longer wanted. I don't want that because it's not really. I'm not able to go. You know, I want it to flow this way. So I'm going to select this edge. Okay. Now you have to be careful because I'm going to select these two edges here and do Control Alt Delete, or not Control Alt, Control Delete. And if I select on vertex, you can see that's gone. But I again have an issue here. Say I need to be able to go across here like this to kind of get that flow. Okay, right? So what I need to do now is I need to do, again, go into selection mode and go into multi-cut, and I need to cut down here and go across like that, so we can get that. You can see that edge flow that I'm getting here. So that works really nice. I'm going to do that. Okay, get that edge flow. You can see the slants. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. Okay, I know this is really, I'm trying to go slow for you guys. Hit the Q key. And I'm going to right click over here and go to edge mode. Okay, and you can see that we have a triangle here. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of that and just hit the delete, not control delete, just hit delete. Okay, we want to keep that vertex there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across here and across here. Okay, so this is how we're going to get this working just the way we want it. Alright, so again, hit the Q key, go to selection mode, hold the shift and left or right mouse button down, go to multi-cut, and we're going to go ahead and cut right there, cut up here, and then cut across. Like that. Just like that. And then hit enter. Alright, great. Alright, so this is how we solved the problem. So now I can cut across here and cut across here. I don't even know if I'm going to use this piece down here. For now I'm going to keep it. I don't know why, but I'm just thinking I'm going to keep it until I get this piece done. Hit the Q key because you're still in that mode. And I'm going to click off. I'm going to go ahead and reset the tool setting, and close. Alright. So what I want to do now is I want to use the circularize tool. That tool that we used before might help us with this, to cut into this. But we're going to need to have more sections in here for this to work. So this will be challenging, and we'll have to see how this all works. So we're going to use it in a practical way here. So I'm going to go in here, and we should be able to go across. What I'm going to do now is we did all this work. So I'm going to go to selection mode and go into the object. If you go to selection mode and it keeps turning it off, you can go up here to object mode and just force it up here at the top under the main menu bar. And if I hover over it, it's called select by object type. Alright. So with that said, I want to select it. I want to make sure I go ahead and save my scene. If you haven't saved your scene for a while, you should save a lot, and save more often than I do in my lectures, please. I would recommend that. So you can go back to an earlier save if you mess up. Alright, so now I need to cut across here and get this looking a little bit better. So we're going to go just into Insert Edge tool. I'm going to start inserting edges here, here, and just cutting this evenly across if I can. Evenly across if I can here, and here. Okay. So you know that still looks a little bit janky, but it's better than it was. And in here, okay, you can see that I'm going to cut right into that area there, and that right there, and then this right here, and then right there, and that. Now you can see that we can actually create these pieces now. You can see that is actually going to work really good. I'm going to go ahead and cut this right here as well. There we go. Alright, so that's a start. We've got those pieces in there. So what I'm going to do is we can now go in here and select, actually go into face mode and select these faces like this. Okay, and I'm going to turn off the background. This is actually getting in the way now, so I'm going to turn the background off. Okay, I'm going to go into the perspective mode so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I've got that piece there, And so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and extrude those in. So let's go ahead and do that, extrude. Okay. And we're going to follow the arrow. Okay, we're going to follow the arrow because that's actually following the normal of the face. Okay, let's move that in like that. Okay, make sure you don't have anything else selected. Okay, that's really important. And so the next part here, we don't want to go, the rule of thumb is you don't want to go, if you think physically what an inch is, what a half an inch is, what a quarter inch is, we don't want to go much depending on the scale of the object. We don't want to push too far in because that can cause some issues. So we're going to push it in a little bit like that, kind of something like that. And then we're going to cut edge loops in here. So if you look at, if I click off here, that'll work out pretty good. If you go too deep, what happens is that the light rays from the normal map bake will bounce around in there and give you, and if it's too deep, it'll go in there and bounce around and give you errors. So let me go back, Control Z. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't want to go too far back. So let's go something like that. That's good. All right, that's good enough. Any deeper than that, it will cause errors. And if you have the faces, like if I do, and don't do this, if I delete the faces and you have holes, normal maps won't work at all. Okay, so when you do a normal map and you need to have a face or something behind all of your geometry to stop those rays and have them bounce back out again. That's how normal map baking works. All right, so if you have holes like this, that won't work, but you know, I'll fix all that later. Let's go ahead and select it. And now we're going to work on adding edge loops to all this. Okay. And I think with this too as well, how the normal map bake will work a little bit better is if I go into the faces, each one of these faces, and I just kind of scale it in a little bit. I know it's going to look a little wonky, you know, when I scale it like this, but we can do, if you go back to the extrude, okay, and let's see if I push that in. I just want to make sure nothing else is selected, so let me go back to the extrude part. Here we go, and not talk so much. I'm going to go Control E, and again move that back. Okay, and at this point I could probably go into this scale here and scale that in, and then I would want to scale this in a little bit. Now I know that looks a little wonky, but what happens is that I can then go and those light rays will hit around and bounce around a little bit better. If they're pushed out, meaning if this edge is pushed too far into that wall, then the light rays will get stuck on the outer edge. So you gotta kind of watch that too as well. There's so much you have to think about while you're creating this. Right, so that looks good. I'm happy with that. So get back in here and hit the Q key to get out of that mode. Okay, now we're going to start adding edge loops. So let's go ahead and add edge loops. Okay, so you need an edge loop that goes across here. Okay, that supports that edge there. Okay, now I'm not going to do one that supports this edge because I want it to be round. Because look at that, this piece right here. These are rounded edges. So let's see what happens when we just do these two. Like that. There we go. And we hit the 3. Doesn't look too bad. Not too shabby. Actually, those pieces are in there, and it will bake out pretty good, actually. So I can do a couple more on the outside to help support that edge there on the outside. But I don't think I'm going to do one on the inside. Okay. Alright, so we can see that we probably need a tighter edge over on this piece right here, and this piece right here. Okay, and we need a edge loop right here to support that edge, and an edge loop to support this edge, and an edge loop to support this edge. Okay, and so on and so forth, all the way across, inside and out. Okay, And we're going to continue over here on this side as well. Okay, and then underneath here too, to get that nice hard edge. And then on the outer edge right here as well. There we go. So go ahead and pause the video if you want to follow along with what I did. You can see that I've got that all looking good for underneath. I think that looks pretty good. If we support this edge right here on the inside, we can do that. Let's take a look and see what happens. See what the difference is between this one and that one. So let's go ahead and go into selection mode and hit the 3 key and click off. Okay, so now you can see the differences between the two. Let me turn off. So that's what you have. This one's a little softer, okay, edges, and you can see that we have a softer round part up here. So even if I do this, let's just check this out. Let's go ahead and go back, select the object, go into selection mode and hit the 1 key. Okay, so what if we tighten these edges up a little bit more? And what we can do with this is even add more detail and make this look even better. If we hit the 3 key, you can see that we got kind of a wonky slant right there, and we have to kind of watch that. So control, let's go back into 1, and let's go to this view right here, and you can see that we're kind of losing our vertices, right? We're moving over a little bit. That slant kind of got lost. So I'm going to select all of these guys right here, and let's see if we can move them over all together. Can we slide? Yeah, let's go ahead and slide. See how we can slide. Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. Doesn't want to do all of them together. So I think we're kind of stuck. Let's try to see if we can get the component to work. Nope, or the normal. Nope, that won't work either. We're kind of stuck. I really don't want to do one at a time, so I'm just going to go back to, let's see, along rotation. Let's do custom along edge, surface maybe. Oh, there we go. Well, that doesn't. Nope, that doesn't work either. Edge doesn't work. That doesn't really work either. Let's turn that off. I'm just going to have to eyeball this. Let's go back to object mode and just move it the way we can. Just slide it over just a little bit. There we go. That helps a little bit. We didn't have to do much. There we go. Right. And so we can go ahead and let's hit the 5 key so we can kind of see what's happening here. And these are slants. It's tough to do. Let's go ahead and go into this mode here, and let's go ahead and add an edge loop on top as well. So I'm going to go into insert edge loop. So let's go ahead and insert an edge loop on top. Support that edge and this one on the top. And we can even tighten these edges up a little bit more to make that look even better. So if I double click on the edge, it's the Q key, double click on that edge, and let's use the slide edge tool, slide edge tool right here, middle mouse button, and drag it down a little bit. Click on this one, drag it up a little bit, let's tighten these edges up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. And this one's pretty tight the way it is, but let's take a look at that. This edge here as well, let's bring that in a little bit tighter here, and this edge here. Okay, and I think we got this one here, bring that in a little bit more. Okay, alright, good. So far so good. We're going to add edge loops right here then too. Go to selection mode, insert edge loop tool here, and here, get that edge loop. And then I'm going to do one in the center. I'll show you why in just a second here. Okay, and that allows us to go in here and move these vertices up. So if I move these vertices up in kind of an arc, then we'll get that kind of arc that we were looking for. Right now it's going to be very tight edge. And if I go into my perspective mode, if I add an edge loop right inside, that's going to help it from caving in on itself, and that'll give us a nice tight edge on the inside as well. Just like that. It's a lot of work, yeah. To do those two little things that we could probably do in Mudbox in 5 minutes to push in and do the normal map, the stencil thing we talked about. This is why, you know, doing it, I would say in post. You can actually do this stuff in Substance Painter too. We're going to look at that as well. Takes a lot less time, you know. That's why a lot of people, that's why we did that with a crate, you know. It's not, this is the best way. I wanted to show you this is a way that you need to know how to model. This is hard surface modeling. And you need to know this. You need to know how to do this. And so, yeah, there are easier ways. They don't look as nice. Some people would argue with that fact, but that's okay. Alright, so let's go in here and go to Vertex Mode, and you can see we got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of vertices now, and so it's really hard to move these vertices around, but you could try. You can select these guys right here and just move. Select the, you know, select one of these and just move it back and forth until you can kind of get, you know, that round arch. Now the problem is you have these here stopping you from getting that round out. Sorry, if I hit the 3 key, you can see you get kind of that roundness, right? Okay, you can continue doing that for all the vertices, right? So I'm gonna select those, and marquee select tool is probably the best way to go. Okay, so I'm gonna select these. Okay, and you can hit, you know, control, hold the control key down if you select too many of them, and you can move, you know, those up. So move it up and over, and then you can select these guys, right, and move it up and over, and you start getting that soft, you know, that soft look. But the problem is with this is, are you pushing on the outside? Are you pushing, or is the topology getting all messed up on the outside of it? So those are things you have to kind of look at. I'm in the 3 key when I was moving those around. Sometimes I model that way, okay? And you can do that. You can add that detail there if you want to. That'll help. Another thing that could help is to giving you that edge. Let's go back again. Is that you could take that edge loop out right now. So let's go to edge loop and click on that edge loop and do Control Delete, and then Control Delete. Let's go ahead and do that with this one, and that can help you make this a little easier. You still have to move vertices around, so I can select these guys here. It's a little easier. And let's go into here and see if there's anything that will help us move along the component mode. Nope. And the problem is I've got more than just one, and it just doesn't understand how to do that. And even if I go into Edge, it might let us get into that. Let's go into Object and Slide. Will it let us do that? It'll let us slide back and forth, but it won't let us slide up and down. Just doesn't know what to do with that. Just doesn't know. So what I'll do is I'll just do the regular, okay? And I'll just move the arrow up. Whoops, it's still in slide mode. Let's get out of there. Off. There we go. And just move it up and over, up. Okay. And then we'll do the bottom part. Down and over. There we go. And do this one right over here. Again, this isn't like the greatest thing, but it works. Okay, so we're doing some very complex modeling here. If I hit the 3 key now, again, you're starting to get that shape that we're talking about. And that works out pretty good. Let's go ahead and click on that and click off of it, and you can see where we're at with that. Alright, so there's our our two pieces in here, and again you can keep tweaking out because I don't really like that. You know, I like more of a straight angle, so you can keep tweaking those things out if you want to, and just make sure those are pushed over a little bit to the side. Alright, so move those over to the side a little bit. Just kind of straighten those out a little bit more. Alright. Okay, that looks better. Alright, so we've got a piece that's caving in on itself. I think that looks pretty good. I'm really happy with that. Got some really nice pieces right there, so that's great. I think that'll look really nice. Now, the whole idea about this is if you get messed up, that's why we save our scenes. So if you mess this up really, really bad, what you can do is you can go back to an earlier save. That's why you save all the time. Okay. So with this, we need one more edge loop here, unfortunately. More edge loops, and insert edge loop right here. Let's cut that in. And we need one right here to support that edge right here. Alright. Okay, so and now I think we're finished with this. Hit the 3 key. And there we go. There's our piece. And I haven't decided whether I want to get rid of that or not. Okay, but that's what we have so far. Alright, that looks great. I'm happy with that. Okay. And that is the end of this part 5. So this was a long one. Sorry about that. And now we're going to extrude the rest of these pieces so we can add them and work on the next pieces. Alright, see you in the next video.